In this video, I'm going to show how to use Wowza Streaming Cloud to stream your virtual reality and 360 content. In this specific demo, I'm going to be using the VideoStitch Aura camera, which is a wonderful device that does high quality 4K VR streaming, and it actually comes with a stitching box that will actually stitch the signal coming in from the cameras and then be able to easily push that to the Wowza Streaming Cloud platform that takes care of everything else that you need to scale this and stream this to users across the world, whether it be through your website or through your own app. The 360 camera made by VideoStitch is called the Aura, and this device has multiple cameras on it, and all the signal from these 4 cameras is sent to a stitching box that actually comes as a turnkey solution with the Aura camera. And this signal stitches these 4 cameras together and then easily pushes it out over RTMP to a Wowza server. Now, in this particular demo, we're going to simplify the process. We're going to be streaming to the Wowza Streaming Cloud platform. There's a turnkey solution that takes care of everything that you need to do from a streaming technology perspective to get this to your end users. In order to deliver this to your end users, Wowza Streaming Cloud will be able to provide an HLS URL that can play back inside of an app or an HTML5 video player. An example of an app is this NextPlayer SDK, which is a wonderful app for iOS and Android that allows you to build in this 360 playback functionality inside of your app. And I'm going to show a demo of exactly how to do that. In addition, if you want to play this back to an HTML5 video player inside your browser and put this into your website, NextPlayer has an HTML5 version of their 360 player, as does another company called BitMovin, has a really nice and elegant 360 player. There's also another option with JW Player that allows you to play this back in a 360 environment. And then one additional player is the Theo player as well. Now, this demo is specifically going to be very, very simple and show all the steps needed for someone who isn't a streaming technologist at heart. However, with Wowza, Wowza has the potential to really create some advanced workflows, whether it be with the Wowza Streaming Cloud solution, which is what I'm showing today, or with the Wowza Streaming Engine solution, which is a video that I actually recorded a couple of years ago that's been incredibly popular. But there's a little bit more technical pieces needed to actually deploy your own Wowza server and be able to stream VR content through it, whereas with Wowza Streaming Cloud, it's more turnkey. Now, one thing that I'm going to show as well is how to actually use the Wowza Streaming Cloud platform to simultaneously push this to Facebook Live or YouTube Live to their 360 platforms. So this allows you to have a white label solution on your own site or in your own app, but then simultaneously also use social media platforms to get your content out there to as many users as possible. So all these different workflows allow you to really get to the widest variety of users on a wide variety of devices. And that's really one of the popular use cases for Wowza technology, is how agnostic we are with being able to deliver content to all these different devices. So this is the video that I recorded a couple of years ago that talked about virtual reality and 360-degree live streaming with Wowza Streaming Engine specifically. Now, in this demo, I used a gyroptic camera, and I enabled a local version of Wowza to actually republish this and send this to the internet. However, today we're going to be focusing on Wowza Streaming Cloud, which is our cloud-based streaming solution that makes this even easier to do and get your content out there. Now, for today's demo, I am running this Aura camera. Now, this is my home office, and I actually have this Aura camera, which I just showed you in the slides, and it's pulling in 4 different camera feeds and stitching it together. Now, one thing I really like about the Aura is it creates some really elegant stitching. You can't even see the stitching lines in this. Now, what you'll notice right here, you can kind of see is the PoE switch. This is a power over Ethernet switch that allows you to plug into your local network. You can see I'm running my router right here. It allows you to then power the camera and also communicate the data from the cameras to the stitching box that stitches this together and sends it all out. Now, that's a lot of information, but really all you need to know is that once you plug this in, it's ready to go right out of the box. Now, there's a lot of cool things that we can do here. We can actually enable a stereoscopic view. So this allows me to view this inside of my player here. I can actually see what this would look like inside of a 360 playback app. Simultaneously, like I just mentioned, you could do a stereoscopic view, which splits this into 2 different views. And I'll be showing that specifically with my NextPlayer SDK on my mobile device, how then you could use a VR headset to simulate a virtual reality environment. So it's a really nice ability to do this and see my feed directly inside my Aura. Now, what you'll notice, I actually have a local IP address here. So this local IP is the IP address of this Aura camera and the stitching box on my local network. Now, I can go full screen here, but I'm actually just going to go back to my 2D view, which shows me my 2D 4K resolution view. That is what's going to be streamed to the Wowza Streaming Cloud platform. Now, if you go into the settings here, here is where you can actually configure quite a few things. You can configure your video. You can see I have this set at 4K UHD. Wowza has the ability to stream 4K content with our Wowza Streaming Cloud platform. If for some reason you wanted to select a lower version, you can encode that at 2.8K, 2K HD, depending on what you want to deliver to your customers. And Wowza Streaming Cloud can be configured to accept all of these different inputs. Similarly, my preview resolution, I could actually increase this if I wanted to on inside of this playback. If I come back in here, I can also configure my network settings. By default, the Aura is a DHCP, so it actually will assign itself an IP address on your local network, which is what I've done now, but you can do some additional things here. Now, under my broadcast presets, this is how I actually can select where I want to stream my encoded content to. So not only does the Aura stitch all of this together, it actually encodes it to IP, or an internet protocol, which is the actual RTMP protocol. That RTMP allows you to push that to a streaming service or streaming server, which is what we're using Wowza Streaming Cloud for today. Now what you'll notice is I have all of my information here of where I should stream this to, the stream key. I can add authentication if I want, that's a user ID and password, and then I can also select what I want my H.264 encoding profile to be. So here we usually recommend for a 4K stream a very minimum, 10 megabits per second. Here you can actually up the level. You can actually increase this to 15 megabits per second, 20, 25, depending on what your project requires. Now, when you first select a broadcast preset, this actually comes with just the local preview server available. We've added some additional ones in here, and it's as easy as clicking on the add button, coming in here, adding new information, and clicking on new preset. So it's very simple to do. Now what I'm going to do is actually come back into the Wowza Streaming Cloud platform, and you'll see in here I have the ability to add a new live stream. So I'm going to click on this, click on Add Live Stream. And all you have to do is go to cloud.wowza.com and you can sign up for a free trial. So everything that I'm doing today can be done through the free trial, which allows you to actually create a 360 live stream. I'm going to go ahead and hide the help, and I'm going to go ahead and call this Aura 4K live stream. The next step, you can see there's 5 easy steps to set this up. I'm going to select which region I'm streaming from. Now I'm based in Europe, so I'm actually going to select a server here in Germany. I'm based in Spain, but what you're doing here is you're actually selecting where your origin server is going to be, where the Wowza origin is going to be. So I want to select something that's geographically close to me. So I'm selecting this one in Germany. I'm going to click on Next. Here I can actually select what I'm accepting from what encoder. So here what I'm going to do is actually select RTMP. So with RTMP, this allows me to designate Wowza Streaming Cloud that it will accept an RTMP input that I'm pushing from my VideoStitch Aura device. Now you'll notice here I can either do a push or a pull. I'm going to select push because I'm pushing this from my local device. I'm pushing it directly to Wowza Streaming Cloud. And here I can select my playback protocols. By default, we just want to select Apple HLS. If I want to make this a low latency HLS stream, I can do that as well. And that will create less latency inside the stream. And then here, this is very important. This is my aspect ratio. So what I want to do is actually select a 4K stream. What this will do is this will create 7 adaptive bitrate renditions. So what we're doing is we're encoding this to multiple different resolutions and bit rates that allows me to deliver this content to my end users, and it will adapt to changing network conditions in an end user is consuming this either on their mobile device or through their browser. I can also record this in the cloud, and I can select closed captioning. And what I want to do is actually disable authentication just to make it a little bit easier for the demo here. And this will remove the need for a source name, username, and password for this service. I'm going to click on Next. The next steps here is actually just to select a playback and a hosted page. But with this playback and the hosted page, I'm actually not going to be using the cloud service to do this. I'm going to be using my own player. So I can go ahead and skip through these settings. This would create a hosted HTML page, but I'm going to be hosting this on my own site, so I'd have no need for doing this here. I'm going to click on Finish. And what this will do is this will now prepare this this live stream for this to actually push out from my Aura to Wowza Streaming Cloud. If I click on Start Live Stream, this will actually initiate this machine out in the cloud. So you can see now this is firing this up. So while this is preparing the origin server for me, what I want to do is actually come in and copy this information, which is my primary server, my port, my stream name for this. So I'm going to go ahead and copy. I'm going to come back into my Aura camera, and this is where I'm going to paste the RTMP address. I want my stream key. So if I come in here, here's my stream key. Copy that. Paste this inside my Aura camera, and that's it. That's all I need to do. I've disabled RTMP authentication, so I'm going to go ahead and update my settings, and now I'm ready to go. So I'm going to go back to preview, and I'm going to make sure that this is now ready to go. And you can see in here, this particular Wowza Streaming Cloud live stream is spinning up and ready to go. So just like that, you can now see that my Wowza Streaming Cloud instance is ready to actually accept the data from my Aura camera. So all I need to do is come into Aura camera and click on broadcast and start streaming. So now what it's doing, it's initiating the streaming. You can see it's currently streaming. It shows me a red icon up here under broadcast. So now this content is being streamed directly into my Wowza Streaming Cloud instance. And you can see now this is coming in at my configured bitrate. I can see a preview of what this looks like. So what Wowza Streaming Cloud is doing now is we're accepting this at the 4K resolution. We're live transcoding this to multiple different encoding settings, and then actually delivering this to the CDN, the Wowza CDN for delivery to end users. So all of that all gets done out of the box with a solution. So now all I need to do is I need to pull up this Apple HLS URL, which is my playback URL, which is running on Wowza CDN inside of my app. So what I'm going to do is actually open up my mobile phone, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate my screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing directly in here. So here you'll notice I have the Next Player app. I've opened that up, and all I have to do is click on this Open URL, and I'm going to type in my URL directly in here. So now that I've pulled up this URL, now I can actually see the playback of this coming off of Wowza Streaming Cloud. So you'll notice here, I can actually use my finger, which is what I'm using now, to actually scroll this content inside of this app. You can see this SDK you can actually build into your own app and have this playback functionality directly in here. Now the other thing I can do here is instead of using my finger, I can actually move my hand up and down and around. This works as more kind of a VR environment. So you can see very easily I can do that. And then the other thing, like I mentioned earlier, you can turn this into stereoscopic mode, which splits this, and then this allows you to use Google Cardboard or some kind of VR goggles to actually show this stream. So all of that, all inside of this very elegant app. I really like this because you can go from vertical to horizontal very easily. You can't see the vertical view inside this, but here you can see it on its side. But it does it extremely elegantly. You can see how nicely it actually scrolls us. And I'm using a reflector application to actually reflect my screen. It's actually even clearer on my mobile phone than it is on this reflector app. So it's a really, really good app that I highly recommend. So similarly, now that I have playback inside of my mobile phone, I can also enable that same playback inside of my browser. So using this exact same URL, I can now use this inside of the Next Player HTML5 app. I can use it inside of Bitmovin's 360 app. I can use this in a variety of different places. And what this allows you to do is this allows you to scale your content to multiple users. And by multiple users, I mean up to hundreds or thousands or even millions of concurrent viewers can view this using this playback URL with the Wowza CDN. So the other piece that I want to kind of enable here is this allows me to do a white label version inside of my mobile app and then also inside of my website with an HTML5 video player. But what if I want to push this simultaneously to Facebook? Facebook Live has a 360 implementation with their API, and it's something that Wowza has created that integration with. And similarly, we can do this with YouTube Live 360 as well. So what I'm going to do now is actually come into my advanced section and come into my transcoders. Now this will get set up for you automatically when you create a new stream, but I'm going to go in here and see this transcoder that's been set up with this new stream that we just set up a few minutes ago. In here under my outputs and targets, you'll notice here are all my different encodings. This is the high quality 4K stream coming from the Aura. This is my 1080p stream that gets encoded, and here are all the multiple ones. And you can see this is all getting pushed to the Wowza CDN that runs on Akamai. But what I can do now is I can actually add this 4K stream. I can restream this to Facebook Live. So in here, I'm going to click on this Add a Stream Target, select Facebook Live, and here we have this API implementation. I'm going to log in, and I'm going to be using my personal account. So I'm going to call this Aura 4K Stream. copy that. I'm going to go ahead and call that the title and the description. And here you can select if you want it on your timeline, page, group, event, all the things you'd expect of Facebook. And then here is very important. You can actually choose the privacy, only me. I'm going to keep it like that, or to your friends or to the public. And then you can stream continuously. And then this is key, is the Stream 360. This will send the stream to the specific 360 Facebook Live platform. So I'm going to click on Add. And now what this is going to do is actually going to live stream this directly to the Facebook Live platform. So you can see now this will turn green as soon as that connection gets made with Facebook Live, and this will be restreaming directly to Facebook Live. And there it is. It's just turned green, which lets me know that this is now being simultaneously streamed to my own Wowza CDN, to my own app, and to my own website, but simultaneously to Facebook Live as well. So if I come into Facebook Live and I go ahead and refresh this, here you'll see, here's my live stream. So if I click on this, you can now see this live stream directly in here on my Facebook Live page. So I can go full screen on this and show you exactly what I was just saying. Now this is also being encoded separately on the Facebook Live platform. So they're encoding, this is probably a lower quality bitrate that I'm getting shown right now just because of my local network. I'm probably using it up with all my other streams. But you'll notice here's the functionality of the Facebook Live platform. Now, by the same token, I'm streaming this to Facebook Live, and this is set to private, but I could use this for my public event, have it on a page, have it on an event. And then I can also do this inside of my app. So inside of my Facebook app, I can actually do this as well. So if I share my screen again, I'm going to go ahead and reflect my screen. And there it goes. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my Facebook app, and I'll show you this playback directly in here. So here you can see it's actually telling me that I'm streaming live directly inside of Facebook. And if I open this up, there's that full video playback. Similarly, I can use my hands, or I can actually move this forward and back. I go ahead and close that. So very, very simply set up those steps from Wowza Streaming Cloud to stream to Facebook Live. Now, what I can do is I can at any point remove this target or disable it. And then I can also set up an additional stream target to YouTube Live. So if I wanted to push this to YouTube Live, here I can select this as RTMP. I can put in my YouTube Live information and stream this to YouTube Live as a 360 stream as well. So all of that can be done very simply directly in here. For more information, you can go to wowza.com to our VR and 360 live streaming page. In here, we have a demo of the one that I mentioned earlier with running the gyro-optic camera with Wowza Streaming Engine. We have this demo as well that we'll be adding of how to use this with Wowza Streaming Cloud, with information on how to use those platforms with different workflows. And then we also have a great case study of Radiant Images, which is a company, a customer of Wowza's that's using Wowza Streaming Cloud with VR and 360 technology, with the Nokia Ozo, with the Teradek Sphere, with other encoding workflows that allows you to do very high profile events. Wowza was used for the live stream for Champions League, for the semifinals and final last year as well, here in Europe. So a lot of different workflows that can be enabled with Wowza VR and live streaming functionality.